I think the biggest thing that we want to see from Shedeur is just continued growth. I think he grew a lot from start 1 to start 7. I think certainly playing more efficiently, not putting the ball in harm's way as much would be important. While maintaining the ability to produce out of structure and generate explosive plays. You're not going to see all of that in the upcoming months because we're not on the field. So the biggest thing that he can do is learn the new offense. Get in with the coaching staff once our offseason program starts. Continue to work on his body physically, and then make strides when we actually get on the grass.
We got someone right there in Berea that feels the same way from the tea leaves that I'm reading. This video came out just after the Browns win. It's Andrew Berry, GM of the Cleveland Browns, dapping Shedeur up, giving him some love, being proud of him, which I think most of us were proud of the performance Shedeur put out there in this game in his first NFL start. But I had a theory that it's out there. It's in the internet. You could see it. I've posted it a few times of there being a divide in Berea because Andrew Berry's guy, Shedeur, and Kevin Stefanski's guy is, of course, still in Gabriel. Is it starting to show even more now with videos like this surfacing? I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't have that type of intel on the Cleveland Browns and what they have going on inside them. I would say 4 walls in Berea, but it's probably multiple walls. Let's be for real here. It's a very bougie industry. But one guy I think is very safe in his job with how his draft has looked at this year, and Andrew Berry. And the other guy I think fans are still very much ready to move on from. I mean, this win feels good. There's many positives, but this team still doesn't look disciplined. We aren't holding players accountable. Jerry Jeudy, I didn't forget about you. His ass should have.
Shedeur Sanders gets good news from Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns. Andrew Berry signed today a offensive lineman, a former San Diego Charger guard, Zion Johnson, reached an agreement today with the Cleveland Browns, a 3-year worth $49.5 million, including a $32.4 million guaranteed.
Let me ask you something. What would you do if you were told your whole life that you were special, that you were destined for greatness, and then, on the biggest weekend of your career, the entire world watched you get ignored? Not once, not twice, 143 times. That's exactly what happened to Shedeur Sanders. And if you think this story ends in heartbreak, you are dead wrong. Because Andrew Berry just broke his silence, and what he said, it changes everything for Shedeur's future in Cleveland. Stick with me, because this one hits different.
Sanders was a lot better than I thought he would be. I'll be honest with you. He showed up. I've had enough of Stefanski.
It's a sad situation. He can only do so much. Shedeur ain't on defense. He can't stop Pollard and that other dude. Get that boy some help.
Hopefully Shedeur can turn things around here in the next few weeks and just give us some positive energy coming up.
Shedeur Sanders gets good news from Andrew Berry and the Cleveland Browns. Andrew Berry signed today a offensive lineman.
Going into the 2025 NFL Draft, Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a prospect, he was the story. Son of Pro Football Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, a quarterback who left Colorado with a 74.1% completion percentage, the best in all of FBS in 2024. A guy who threw 134 touchdowns against only 27 interceptions throughout his college career. A kid who took hit after hit behind one of the worst offensive lines in college football and never flinched. Mock drafts had him going top 5, top 10 at the latest. Some mock drafts even had the Cleveland Browns, who held the number 2 overall pick, selecting Shedeur Sanders. The narrative was set. The story was ready to be written. Then draft day came, and pick after pick after pick, Shedeur Sanders' name was never called. Round 1, nothing. Round 2, silence. Round 3, the Browns drafted Dillon Gabriel, a quarterback that most analysts ranked below Shedeur. Round 4, still nothing. The room where Shedeur sat with his family, the same room filled with hope just hours before, grew heavier with every passing minute. This wasn't just a draft slide. This was one of the most shocking falls in the history of the NFL draft, and the whole world was watching. Here's what makes this story so human. Shedeur Sanders didn't explode. He didn't tweet in anger. He didn't throw anybody under the bus. He sat there. He waited. And when reporters finally got to him after it was all over, after 143 other players heard their names before his, this is what he said. "Nothing really affected me the last couple of days. I'm favored. I'm blessed. The love of the game is still the love of the game." Let that sink in for a second. 143 players, 2 full days of watching his draft stock disappear in real time, and this young man, 23 years old, responded with nothing but grace under pressure. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly the quality every great NFL quarterback needs, the ability to take a hit and keep going. His father, Deion Sanders, one of the most competitive human beings to ever walk the face of this earth, was reportedly on FaceTime with Andrew Berry after the pick. Not angry, just grateful. Because somewhere deep down, even Prime knew his son had just been handed the greatest motivation of his life.
Starts talking about infrastructure, about surrounding a rookie with weapons, about aligning philosophy from the front office to the coaching staff. He's not speaking in hypotheticals. He's outlining a blueprint. And every line of that blueprint traced back to one name, Shedeur Sanders. You could almost see it on the faces in the room. The subtle nods, the tightened expressions, the understanding that this wasn't a depth chart update. This was a declaration. Quarterback one. Not maybe. Not if development goes well. Not we'll evaluate as camp progresses. No, this felt final. And here's where it gets personal. Because not long ago, the system didn't feel aligned. There was hesitation. There was caution. There were moments when it seemed like the organization was unsure whether to fully lean into its young star. Opportunities felt limited. Reps felt calculated. Development felt restrained. And when hesitation meets potential in the NFL, tension follows. Then everything changed. The exit of
Andrew Berry kept his word. He told us during the press conference, my main focus is on, hey, we're going to fix this offensive line. And he done took another step in doing that. So we got a guard, a offensive guard now for Shedeur, because we know as we watched the Cleveland Browns this past season when Shedeur was quarterback, the pressure came up the middle. Because we know the offensive line for the Cleveland Browns this past season.
Now here's where the story gets good. Minutes before the 144th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft was announced, Andrew Berry FaceTimed Shedeur Sanders. The crowd around Shedeur heard the phone ring, and the moment his face appeared on that screen, everything changed. A wide smile broke across Shedeur's face. He grabbed a Cleveland Browns hat, orange brim, the famous dog logo, and put it on his head. The crowd erupted. Then Berry spoke, and what he said wasn't just a draft announcement, it was a message. I know it's been a long weekend. We're going to take you off the board here. Listen, you've got to come in, you've got to work hard, earn your keep. It doesn't matter where you're taken, it matters what you do moving forward. You're talented, you're a good kid. Now come in and prove all the people who passed on you wrong. Goosebumps. Every single time. That wasn't just a GM talking to a draft pick. That was one man telling another, I believe in you, when the rest of the world didn't. Now, a lot of people asked the question, why did the Browns wait so long? If they believed in Shedeur, why not take him in round 1? Why not round 3 instead of Gabriel? Andrew Berry answered that directly, and his answer reveals something important about how Cleveland operates. According to Berry, their evaluation of Shedeur was never that of a top 5 prospect. They liked him. They spent extensive time with him at the East-West Shrine Bowl, the NFL Combine, a top 30 visit, and even flew a large contingent of coaches and executives out to Boulder, Colorado for his pro day. But when round 5 arrived and Shedeur was still on the board, Berry made a move. He called the Seattle Seahawks. He gave up picks 166 and 192 to move up to 144. He was aggressive. He was decisive. Why? Because, as Berry put it, it got to a point where he was probably mispriced relative to the draft. The acquisition cost was pretty light. He's a guy we think can outproduce his draft slot. And here's the kicker. ESPN's insider Daniel Oyefusi later reported that Berry worked hard to find a trade partner the moment Shedeur kept sliding. The Philadelphia Eagles were picking at 145, one spot behind Cleveland. If Berry hesitates for even one more minute, Shedeur Sanders might have ended up in Philly. But he didn't. He ended up exactly where the universe intended. Here's the part that every Cleveland Browns fan needs to hear.
Shedeur Sanders got some good news from his organization, the Cleveland Browns. They are rebuilding this offensive line, especially for him. That's the only player that have been signed through free agents so far as I do this broadcast from the Cleveland Browns. They getting a guard, Zion Johnson, from the San Diego Chargers to block for Shedeur Sanders and their running back, and that's something they need.
Shedeur Sanders entered training camp in a quarterback room with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Deshaun Watson, who wasn't expected to play due to an Achilles injury. The competition was real. Nothing was handed to him. Flacco started the early games, then got traded away. Gabriel stepped in as the starter, struggled, played too timidly, limited the offense. And then Gabriel suffered a concussion. Shedeur Sanders walked onto that field, and the flashes were undeniable. Throws downfield, toughness under pressure, the same resilience that carried him through one of the most humiliating draft weekends in history, on full display in the NFL. Was it perfect? No. There were turnovers, there were rough moments, but the league took notice. And now, heading into 2026, Andrew Berry has confirmed that there will be a quarterback competition. Sanders, Gabriel, and even Watson are all in the mix. But here's the tea. Shedeur Sanders finished the year stronger than he started it. His jersey was the best-selling rookie jersey in the entire league after the draft. The fan base in Cleveland, a city that has been starving for a franchise quarterback, has rallied behind this kid. Let's step back for a second, because this isn't just a football story. This is a story about what it means to keep going when the world tells you to stop. 143 players heard their names before Shedeur Sanders. 143 moments where a different kid might have cracked, but Shedeur sat there, with his family, with his faith, and he waited. And now he's in the NFL. He's competing for a starting job on a team that has 2 first-round picks in the 2026 draft, and a front office that publicly said they believe he can outperform his draft position. Andrew Berry didn't just break silence. He made a statement. He told Shedeur Sanders and everybody watching that where you start doesn't define where you finish. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. He won 7 Super Bowls. Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. He went to 2 Super Bowls. The NFL is full of stories about guys who were underestimated, overlooked, and written off, who went on to rewrite the record books. Shedeur Sanders' story is just getting started. So what do you think? Can Shedeur Sanders become the franchise quarterback Cleveland has been searching for since the days of Bernie Kosar? Drop your prediction in the comments right now. And if you've been sleeping on this kid, it's time to wake up. If this story hits you different, smash that like button, because this is the kind of energy this channel runs on. Subscribe if you're new. We cover the stories behind the stories, the emotion, the facts, the fire. And remember, it doesn't matter where you're picked, it matters what you do after. Shedeur Sanders is just getting started.